because today is the 1-year anniversary of Firewall. So we've been at it for a year. I know it feels like about a decade. But if you think back on everything that's happened, a year ago today, we found out that a crazy man had just won the election. And sadly, it was legitimate, so there wasn't much we could do. And that's when we all looked at one another, a small group of us, and said, oh, shit, we gotta do something. And so this is what happened. We thought it would be a couple of us getting together for coffee. It is. But I would be remiss if I didn't call out the people that really, really made this happen. And I'm going to start with Peggy Mark Cook. This lady knew all the connections, she knew all the people, and she had been in the war a lot longer than me. I came to it late, and she taught me most of my good habits. So thank you. And a few bit. The other one that I want to call out, stand up. This is Joanne Marcus. She does these wonderful slideshows for us. She also communicates with you if you give us your email. So she's been a really integral part of letting you know what's going on. Back here by the camera, Les. Les has been putting us on YouTube. So if you do miss a meeting, shame on you. I only missed one. But if you do miss a meeting, go to, one day I'll grow up. If you do get a chance to go on YouTube, our entire meeting is videoed, and Les is only videoing the people who speak. So if you are shy or you think that ICE is coming for you, just don't get in camera range. Les Buchheit has been doing this now for many months and helping us with tech support, so we couldn't do it without him, and thank you, Les. There are other people that have helped me by providing guidance and content for these meetings, and I couldn't name all of you, but all the different groups. But I do want to call out Sarah Metcalf, Grace. Sarah has helped out and filled in and given us information. Okay, so today there's a cake. No, I didn't bake it. It's got a raspberry filling, and we're going to do a ceremonial cut, and then we're going to take a few minutes to grab a slice of cake. Please take it. I cannot take it home. And then we'll start the meeting. Let them eat cake.
That's what Trump said.
He's the one that's been shaking you down for a few bucks because we are an outside group. We are not part of the Unitarian Church. So as such, we are renters, so the money that you donate to Don generously goes to the church for the use of our facilities. And thank you, Don, for everything you do and that they can put up with us. First up to speak, and I'm really excited about this, is Jess Greenwald from Erie County Women United.
For anybody who's on Facebook, please join our group, Erie County Women United. I started it before I found out about all of these wonderful organizations. So it's a great way to get people who don't really know too much about what's going on to know what you guys are up to, and hopefully we'll get some new people involved. So what we're planning on doing right here on December 12th is a re-gift, re-love holiday swap exchange. I'm a mom, and I'm in different groups on Facebook. I see a lot of parents in our community struggling to figure out how they're going to afford toys for their kids. And I'm also boycotting all of these big box stores. I know many of us are. So I came up with this idea to help out our community and reduce waste and clean up the clutter in our house. You know, kids go through toys so quickly. A lot of the time they're going into landfills practically brand new. So we're going to gather them, bring them here, and open up to the community so they can get something different for their kids, age their toys up, and hopefully get the stuff that they need. We're also working to hopefully you guys can bring jackets or hats or things like that you have that are hand-me-downs. That would be great. Just remember, this is, you would want it to be something that you would want to hand down. And yeah, hopefully it should be a pretty good thing. I'm looking to get together more planning to help us figure out some logistical pieces, to help us spread the word, to help with volunteer efforts, maybe day off, depending on what people's capacities are. If there's anything you would like to do to help out, I would really appreciate if you came and talked to me. I think we can make this a reality. So, like I said, December 12th, it's from 4 to 6, and it's hopefully to just help our kids in the community have a great Christmas and alleviate some of the stress from the holidays, and it's going to be right here. Thank you. And it's Rosie the Riveter, if you...
So I want to mention that that event will be held in this room. And, okay. Okay. It's okay. It'll be held in this room, and it's a giant swap for mostly kids. But at the same time, you moms and dads, we have a clothing room up on the second floor. It's that corner of that building that sticks out there. It's like an entire store of clothing that has been donated that you can shop through for no cost. So at any time you're in the building, you're welcome to go up and buy it. So thanks. Next is Cheyenne Kaiserstein. Did I say that right, Cheyenne?
Kaisarian.
She is with Lake Effect Change, and she's going to talk to you about a cat.
Hi, I'm Cheyenne. I'm from East Aurora. I am in the process of trying to start a non-connected federal PAC, political action committee, called Lake Effect Change. Enticing. It asks something of you. The PAC, the purpose of the PAC is to support progressive American values in Western New York. We are hopefully raising money to combat misinformation and extremism in the area. And one of our first goals is to unseat Nick Langworthy. Not single-handedly, of course, but we want to educate on issues, like very issue-specific things. For example, the Fishkill and Ishua situation, on how his votes affect things that happen here. We would love to rent some billboards, mailers, postcards, informational seminars, hire speakers to come into our communities to educate people on why he needs to go. But I need some help. And so obviously the first part of it is raising money. So if you are a fundraiser, you know how to fundraise, or you can help in any way in planning and executing those things. If you are a treasurer or know how to be a treasurer, if you do marketing. And I also, the second part of it is making decisions on what the money is spent on So where do we rent the billboard, who do we pay the money to, et cetera. Basically a steering committee. I need that, please. So please see me afterwards if anybody is interested, or if you know anybody who would be really good at this, or is just like willing to learn and try. I don't know anything, but I am gonna figure it out. So, questions?
No, don't do questions.
Great.
But questions lead us down. Cheyenne, do you have a website?
Yeah, lakeeffectchange.org.
lakeeffectchange.org.
Do you have a card?
Not this week, dinner time. It's a first meeting. For those of you who are new, when we have speakers come, we ask that first you tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your burning issue is. What is it you would like us to think about, do, involve yourself in? If you don't have all three of those, you're probably not ready to speak to us, and we absolutely will not allow any griping, but we do clap for throwing out Nick Langley. I jumped ahead and I apologize. And this is my own request to have the Overpass group come and present us with some data that they have accumulated standing on the bridge in rain, sleet, snow, and sun, and counting cars. So joining us today is Jennifer Nelson.
Thanks, Diane. I've been volunteering with the Visibility Brigade since August, and the first thing I noticed was this is a great opportunity to collect information on how many cars we reach for each one of these bridge hangs. So I'm going to be presenting some of that information starting from August. So we've been hanging banners at 2 different bridges regularly. The Cleveland Drive Bridge occurs every other week. You see the slides up. The next Cleveland Drive Bridge hang is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, from 3:30 to 4:30. So we'd love to have you out there. And what we're doing is we're using clickers. And we're counting cars and averaging our exposure rate. So at Cleveland, we're seeing over 4,000 cars per hour just in one direction. What that means, that's being led by Mimi. She's been doing it since March.
Mimi, wait.
Mimi, that means in the past 8 months, in one direction, you've reached over 140 to 145,000 cars. I do think it's important to collect data because not only do we need to be mobilized, but we also need to encourage each other. So this type of stuff we should celebrate. So I'm into celebration too. So let's go over to Genesee Street. This is actually where I work, a volunteer, and we're seeing there, again, roughly 3,500 to 4,500 cars per hour in one direction. Jess is spearheading Genesee Street since May.
Wave your hand, Jess.
A little bit of everything with everybody. And Jess, in the past 6 months since you've been working Genesee, we're looking at 95 to 100,000 cars at Genesee. So a bunch of us also worked on Veterans Day, hanging banners for an hour on Humboldt Shoreline and Cleveland Drive. This was during a holiday, less traffic, but we still were seeing exposure in the thousands for these hangs. It was pretty cold too, so shout out to everybody who was on a bridge on Veterans Day. Thank you so much for that work. So we also started trying to figure out, well, in addition to the amount of people that we're reaching, we get a lot of honks, we get a lot of waves, thumbs up, peace signs, we get a lot of birds.
We get a lot of thumbs down, we get a lot of, get a job. So we started counting that. So the best way to actually determine what kind of response rate is doing positive and negative response rates at the same place, the same time, over time, and then looking and seeing if there's any changes in that. So this is the percent positive and negative response rate for the Genesee bridges. And what we're seeing is very high positive response rates, 80 to 90% positive response rate. The negative response rate's low, usually 9 to 14% negative response rate. Well, and some great things is that we're not seeing the negative response rate going up. People don't not like us or not agree with us more. What I want to see is the positive response rate go up, and over time we might be able to track that. So that's where tracking positive and negative response rate over time will be very useful. Now, we started to figure out, well, what kind of variables could influence this data? Messaging is a factor. We saw the highest rates, 90% positive response rate in Genesee, when Jess created a banner that said honk for the files. People like to be told what to do. We saw that again in Cleveland just yesterday, where we hung the honk for the files and honk if you're not in the files, and people were honking. We also noticed on Veterans Day that we had absolutely no negative response rates for a Veterans Day message. People love vets, every single person loves a vet, and we had no negative responses. We're very concerned about traffic speed potentially impacting our ability to collect data. Genesee's great because the traffic really slows down underneath the Genesee overpass. Faster speeds could decrease the ability of a driver to read and respond safely, and faster speeds may decrease our ability to see a hand signal. And time of day may be influencing our ability to see hand signals as well. So those are things that we're taking into consideration. So that's a presentation on what we're collecting with our overpass. It's a great way to get the message out to a very large group of people that spans our community. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone.
That was fantastic.
What day that happens in time.
So for the next 2 months, it's the second and fourth Friday of the month from 3:30 to 4:30, and we're going to start at Cleveland. If there's enough people and the weather is permitting, we'll split to Genesee, but start at Cleveland just to make sure it's safe for everybody. Oh, and I want to add, if anybody saw this and they really like it, but those bridges aren't near you, and you want to do a bridge closer to your home, feel free to connect with us and we can help you make banners and tell you how we do it. We'd love to expand the area that we have this messaging so that we can see, or so more people can even see it.
Want to go to the website?
Oh! And Ted made our amazing website, wmybb.org.
It's WNYBB for Bridge Brigade, New York. .org. Sorry. WNY. This Bridge Brigade has been a breath of fresh air, because at the end of the day, you can go to a march, like downtown on a Saturday when it's closed for business, and we can admire each other's signs, which we do here. But we really want to reach the general public, and we want to send the message that the vast majority of Americans are fighting this. So getting a good group of people out there on the bridge, it's only an hour, yeah, it's cold, sometimes it's hot, but it's the nicest group of people you ever want to meet. This is my new tribe.
Diane's in it.
If it's not too cold, you might see Lady Liberty out there, and my husband will be dressed as a taco. Okay, Mimi, come on up. Mimi is also with the Overpass group, and she's going to talk about a little iteration of this group.
So Jane Cameron is in here today, but she really spearheaded this, and I'm so glad to have her energy and her brilliance. She's been involved in politics for a long time. And we're gonna do an action. Does anybody know the Burma Shave kind of ads they used to do? Well, we're gonna do a Burma Shave type one on the Route 33 this coming Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30. And it's gonna be based on healthcare. Right now, we're still working out, we might add additional bridges, but it's all on, right now, it's all on pedestrian overpasses over the 33, which are very safe to get onto. There's no traffic going by you, like on Cleveland, there's lots of traffic zipping by us. And it's gonna say, your healthcare, Repubs don't care, they only work for billionaires. And then we'll have our website, WNYPD.org. And we're gonna be at 101 Cherry, 247 Cherry, and 630 Humboldt are the three definite bridges we'll be on. So we hope you can join us. It looks great when we have more people up there waving to people. And these are the type of actions that we've demonstrated with the numbers, how many people we reach during the busiest time of our commutes. We have to do things a little earlier now because we lose light, but it really does fill you up. And one thing I wanna share with everyone, and Katie, if some of you saw the video, one day I was up there with Katie, I think we were on Genesee, and this young girl came up and she walked all the way up the hill on Genesee. It's a little bit more of a hike to get to. And she said, I just want to let you know, every time it's walking to it. But she said, every time I see you guys up there, you make me feel less afraid. People still keep showing up, so thank you.
Which was the day and time?
It's going to be the 20th, 3:30 to 4:30, this coming Thursday.
That's the city one. And then there's also the overpass on Cleveland Drive that would be every other Friday. And what, every other Friday? The
Yes.
second and the fourth?
Yeah, so we have the healthcare one and then overpass.
If you want to meet the greatest group of people who are deeply committed, show up at the overpass. It is tremendous. I'm now calling up someone who has never been in Firewall before. She is part of the Main Street movement. And for many of us, we were out on Main Street for No King's Day. And I think there was something like 2,000 people, 2,000? So this is a green and growing group. Kathy Pattison, come on up.
I had a couple issues that I was going to talk about today, but Diane kind of woke me up and a light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like, this is where we have to be. Me and Julie, she's my co-host. This is where we have to be to get the information we need that to grow. I started it out in April and I had 50 people at my protest and I was so excited. And then when King's 2, or no, King's 1 came, I had 1,300 and didn't know what to do with myself because it was just me. So I realized we want more support, and I think if we can get people within here, get emails, we just want information on how to get ourselves bigger. We probably got 4 or 5 people right now that are willing to work. We just want to get bigger. It's a gem of a place to have a protest. It's perfect. And the cops, everybody is just, they're great with us. So I want to get it to grow. I just need to get the information from everybody. So after today, or after tonight, this afternoon, if you want to give me your email and your name, that would be great. We put it down, we'll have it on our own list. And when we need any information or we want to invite you to things, you'll be there for us and we can have a meeting on it.
Thank you so much.
You know what? We just use our own.
Just around the sheet of paper and then put them.
Okay, all right, we'll do that.
Kathy, for the next meeting, if you bring a little sheet of paper that's a pass out with your contact information, that'll be really helpful.
Okay, okay.
I personally was out there and wound up somehow on the front page of the Amherst Bee. It was that good-looking taco I was standing next to. So that, it was a heck of a lot of fun. And I was not the only one dressed in costume. It was really fun. It's also warmer if you wear people costumes. Okay, Janet, you're next. And Janet is going to talk about something called meaningful movies.
Okay, so people probably know me from the bridge and Niagara Falls Boulevard, but this is something that I lived in Washington State for 5 years. And when I was there, I learned a hell of a lot about the issues that I didn't know before. And it was because of something called meaningful movies. So for 3 years, I'm thinking, how can I do this? How can I I've only lived here 7 years, how can I do it? I didn't have to do it. What I didn't know is that this UU church, through their justice advocacy team and Peggy, does it. And has been doing it. I just didn't know. So one of the movies that I found out that they had run was Project 2025. Wouldn't I have wanted to see that before the election? Well, I asked if we could see it now, because half of it has already happened, the other half hasn't. And so on January 2nd, from 7 to 9, right here, Project 2025 will be shown. Then I found out that was the one I was most interested in, that they actually have one the first Friday of every month. And on December 5th, they're going to have No Address, and that's about the homeless. And that is also from 7 to 9.
What
Right
date was
here.
it? December 6th?
So that's December 5th for the homeless, and January 2nd for Project 2025. I myself know that I can get neighbors that aren't here, that aren't on the bridges, that aren't at protests, but they will come to a movie. If you know more about a subject, you're more inclined to talk about it and be more effective. So my background is in teaching, and that's my baby. So I'm just so excited with the UU Church and Peggy. So that's my message.
Thank you, Janet. If anyone can rally the troops, it's Janet. She is the director of logistics. So it's really good to have her. It would not be a meeting without the Good Neighbors Group. They have been an incredible contributor over the last year to this group. And so we have Sarah Metcalf and Wendy Falzone coming up to speak. Sarah's going to speak on mutual aid, and Wendy's going to speak on migrant support.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Sarah Metcalf, and recently we presented that Good Neighbors Group was organizing these working groups, and we're trying to also organize committees, but that's a bit more nascent right now. But this is all because we've had really good growth. We have about 850 members, and we want to figure out how to harness people's energy. So two of the most active working groups are the mutual aid group and the migrant support group. So Wendy will talk about some of what the migrant support group is up to. I'm just here in lieu of Kimberly, who couldn't be here, who's been one of the champions of our mutual aid group that has really been focusing on food security. So each month they're highlighting different areas to collect food donations for and do sort of food security related things like they arrange for a refrigerator to be donated to the Gloria Parks Community Center. This month they're focusing on Girard Place, which serves the Bailey Delavan community. We collected donations for that at our last Good Neighbors meeting. Our Good Neighbors meeting, our standalone ones are the first Saturday of the month and the afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Audubon Amherst Library. At the next one, which is December 6th, we'll continue to collect donation for Girard Place, which is canned goods and pantry items like cereal and pasta. So you can come to the meeting and bring them. You could also just drop them off. And you can also go to girardplace.org if you want to donate directly. Also a shout out to Laura, who helped connect us with the working group with Feed More Western New York and their effort to do the Rock Out Hunger later this month. And in fact, there's going to be a group of volunteers from Good Neighbors who are in that working group who are going to be helping that day. So Rock Out Hunger is an opportunity to collect donations, including things like turkeys for Thanksgiving time. I also want to know, we have some flyers that include some of this information, and thanks to Ted, our website master, we have a resource page. It's goodneighborswny.us, that's our main website. But if you do /snap.html, you'll see a resource page that Ted put together based on an image that had been going around on social media that included some AI slop. So thanks to Ted for cleaning that up. The working group is looking to share information more generally beyond that resource page, and I think Ted is also open to if there are any corrections or suggestions that need to be made to that. So, and then on our handout we have information on if you want to get involved with the mutual aid group or the migrant support group or one of our other working groups, which include rural engagement, for instance. You can email us, goodneighborswny@gmail.com. We also have a little survey. You can also put your interest in that and we'll take note of it and reach out to you. So I'll let Wendy now talk about the migrant support effort.
Hi everybody. I'm just going to start before I introduce the project that we are beginning by saying that not so long ago you never would have caught me in front of this large group speaking, but as Mimi and the Visibility Brigade says, it's time to be brave. So here I am. Okay, so along with the Visibility Brigade, the Migrant Support Team, we are starting a project called Operation Fortify to reach out to local businesses, restaurants, to promote solidarity with the migrant support community. This has already been put together by Visibility Brigade. I spoke to somebody in New Jersey there who helped me kind of understand all of this, and they have made signs and scripts, but I am trying to make this more relevant for our community. Changing the signs around, they had a QR code that went to a document that was all New Jersey information. That is not going to work, so I'm trying to change that up. And then we will go out, and 2 or 3 of us at a time will approach the businesses to ask them to hang these signs in their window that I had changed to say, remember, we are the city of good neighbors. It will have a QR code with more information of how to be an ally to the migrant support or the migrant community. And there's also signs that say private employees only, which is so important to have if you have migrant workers. It gives them a space that is private and you need a judicial warrant to go into that space. And we know ICE can probably still go in there, but it gives them more legal standing. So if anybody would like to volunteer, we would love to have more people sign on. I am taking all the businesses and kind of putting them in zones to assign to each group of people that go out and keep track of how the response is. And I'm trying to think if there's any other. I think that's it. We're going to also offer Know Your Rights information to the businesses. I think that's everything. If you would like to see me after and help us out, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Two very important things for us to consider. There's so many issues that it becomes a little overwhelming. And my advice to you is dabble in a few and see what feels like a good fit for you, and then pass the word on. I've tried myself to get out to as many of these different events as I possibly can. Now we're going to have Bev Halligan come up and speak. She's with a group called Pals from Fox Run, and she just has a cute suggestion for us.
Thanks, Dane. I wear this shirt a lot, and I always get comments, and I've gotten a few bad ones, so we worked around that. But I think it's important that we keep being upfront about what we feel about things, and there's a wonderful company called Syracuse, I have to wear the shirt because I can't remember the name of the company, SyracuseCulturalWorkers.com. It's a company in Syracuse. You don't order through Amazon, you order from them. They have note cards, greeting cards, banners, posters, t-shirts, sweatshirts, for all the different issues that we're talking about here. I brought a shirt if anybody wants to fondle it. I didn't want them fondling my shirt. But they're all organic materials, are made domestically. It's a wonderful company. Syracuse Cultural Workers. They have a wonderful website. They're great to deal with. They'll talk to you on the phone. I ordered 6 shirts when I started, and they were fine with that. You can order 1 shirt if you want. I do have a small left over if anybody's interested in a small. They're like $15, I think. But it's a great organization as far as I can tell, and I urge you to support it, especially with the holidays coming. If you want to order holiday cards, instead of going on one big company that has the cards made God knows where. I just urge you to take a look at the group and see what you think. I think it's nice to support New York State businesses, local businesses, and when you call, have somebody talk to you that's 100 miles down the road instead of 3,000 miles across the world. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, today is a very special day in the world of the trans community. And as such, I've asked Peggy Mark Cook to come up and speak to us about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. She is our guest speaker, so she'll be a little longer than the other speakers.
Thank you. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you. Y'all know me, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you, Dan. I've thought about how to do this today because my topic is one that I recognize that most of you could care less about. But I'm going to hopefully try to make you care. This week is the Transgender Day of Remembrance Week. November 20th is the actual date, and there are ceremonies throughout our area. Why am I bringing this to you? First off, I care. Second off, Lorraine and I are head of the Justice Advocacy team here at the church. That also then puts us in head of the Rainbow Coalition, trying to do education and advocacy for gays and transgenders throughout our community. This falls under Project 2025. And most of you probably have never read the document, but I'm going to tell you that in the forward of the document, the goal is clearly stated: to eliminate the transgender community and any thoughts of transgender, any documents of transgender from all of our writings in our libraries. Now, when I was in college, was always taught that when you write a paper, like my master's thesis, the first thing you do is you do the first 2 paragraphs or so on what is your point? What is it you want? What is it you're going to be telling people? And then when you get done, you summarize. What is it you're going to do? Well, guess what? Second paragraph of the actual document clearly says how they're going to eliminate transgender from this community. So that puts kind of a weight on it in my mind. Maybe I'm nuts. Most of you think I might be. But it says that the government was going to take the view that anything doing with transgender will be labeled pornography and therefore illegal. And anybody who presents this to the community or allows materials about transgender ideology or transgender itself should be arrested as sexual offenders. Now, if you think about that, you've heard this a little in the last year. You've heard this rumor about teachers and librarians getting arrested. It actually says that any teacher who even answers questions about transgender to our youth or presents material suggesting that there's more than a male and female sex category should lose their jobs, should possibly be put in jail. Same with librarians. Okay? Today I want to talk to you a little bit about some of transgender people that you should know about. And behind me here, you're seeing some. Now if you could take the lights that are on your tables and turn them on for me. We're going to have like a little vigil memorial session. Okay? And these people are going to be shown while I'm talking, but I'm going to highlight a few of them as I go. All right? First, I'm going to tell you about Rita Hester. And Rita Hester's going to come up by herself up here. I want you to take a look at her when she comes up. Rita was a transgender individual born in 1964 in Connecticut. Sometime in her 20s, she moved to Boston. People in Boston described Rita as vibrant, loving, caring. Though she was 6 foot tall and 200 pounds, they said she was as agile as a tiny dancer, and she would just light up a room when she went into it. She was born William Hester and chose to become Rita. And on November 28th of 1998, Rita had been playing pool at a local lodge, bar, and left at 5 o'clock to walk home. 5-minute walk to her first floor apartment there in Boston. And at 6 o'clock, her neighbors heard screams and heard her screaming for help. They called the police. The police came. Didn't see any sign of forced entry. Didn't see anything missing. But they found Rita on the floor, stabbed at least 20 times. Rita died just about as soon as she got to the hospital. Rita's death certificate says she died of a cardiac arrest. 20 stab marks means a crime of passion on a transgender individual. Now, I'll tell you that there are transgender is a very small population. And I've told you before, I am not transgender. I'm just here to fight for them. Even though I know I make you crazy with my Mark, Peggy.
Peggy Mark.
Okay, Peggy Mark, whichever way you want, whatever. Okay, whatever. Actually, I'll tell you my real name later. There are only between 150,000 to 300,000 trans youth in our country. That's a very small number when you think about the population of our country. Adults range about 1.3 million. But the violence against the trans community is rising. Do you know why?
Donald Trump's a bigot.
Yeah.
He's a bigot, yes, yes. But there's an unprecedented amount of laws right now being passed regarding transgender. More so than for you cis folks. Transgenders are being targeted. For example, 2 weeks ago, the SOTUS said that your passport has to match your birth certificate, reaffirming that there's only male and female in this country, and taking away the trans identity. Because many trans individuals on their license, or on their driver's license, on their passports, have an X. Because they're not male or female. They're trans. So they just got wiped out from being able to leave the country, or forced to lose their trans identity if they renew a passport. They have to choose male or female. And that's not fair. It's not right. There is a lot out there following what Project 2025 says, that transgender individuals are mentally ill, sexual predators. You've heard about the big fight over the bathrooms at the Capitol building or at Congress. You know, they couldn't have non-gender or trans, they had to have male and female bathrooms. And you couldn't use a bathroom unless your sex at birth, your indicator, matched the room you were walking into. And we have seated trans congresspeople. So anyways, I told you about Rita. I'm going to tell you about Alyssa Ray and then a couple of other folks that are showing up here. So watch for Sam and for Kaylin should be coming up in a moment. You will see that Sam died, and some of you might remember Sam. Yes, Kaylin. Kaylin died in Rochester. Sam died in Canandaigua. I just lost my third one. Hang on. That's why I brought the glasses. Ah, yes, how could I forget? Alyssa, who I pointed to there at the beginning. Alyssa was 61 years old when she died. She was a Medal of Honor Army sergeant for years. She struggled with her transgender identity because of the bullying, taunting, beatings that she took as an Army person. When she got out, she fought. And she became the first to get the legal status of non-binary on her ID. The first to get that X. Didn't write it down, but Alyssa and life ended when she wrapped herself in a trans flag and jumped off the third floor roof of the Syracuse VA. I mentioned Sam, but I'm going to come to Sam last. I'm going to do Kayla next. Kayla died in June, I believe it was. And you'll see she's a beautiful young lady. She's the next slide, I believe. Beautiful young lady. transgender. 15 years old, wonderful, wonderful artist. I've seen her works. She committed suicide in Rochester because of the bullying she received from the people in her dead life. You know what a dead life is? Okay, some of you know and some of you aren't. A dead life is when a trans person fully transcends becomes transgender and walks away from the old life, might even walk away from the parents, but that life no longer exists because that person no longer exists. So, you know, for me, if I were transgender and if I were trying to trans over, the Peggy would eventually disappear. Totally. And that whole life, the people involved in that life would no longer exist. Because that, I would be just Mark. Okay? So that's the dead life to transgenders, is what happened before they transitioned. Poor Caitlin, 15 years old. Thought her life was so miserable from the taunting on Facebook, the bullying in the schools, the fights on the street, because she was no longer that dead person. No 15-year-old should do that. And since I've got you totally depressed, we're going to talk about Sam. Anybody remember Sam? A couple of heads nodding. Sam is the most tragic story of how trans are treated at times. Sam was a 24-year-old male, who was born in Minnesota and came to Canandaigua to meet Precious, a woman he had hooked up with online, that he corresponded with, thought he was his love of his life. And he came to meet her, 39-year-old woman with 2 children. What he found when he got here was Precious and her kids, and 6 other family members or friends who imprisoned Sam in a very small, confined space, tortured him, beat him, made him stay on all fours like a dog, eat off the floor, eat feces, drink urine, and had those 2 children, 7 and 9, watch or participate. They starved him, humiliated him. His family kept asking where he was, kept calling, kept trying to find him. Kept doing well checks with the police. Police kept saying he was fine. They'd go out, they'd see Sam and Precious. Sam would say everything was good. Then they said, stop finding Sam. They eventually found him wrapped in plastic in a garbage bag in a field. The vigils that were held for Sam went all the way across the state. And there was an outcry for a long time. But most of you never heard of Sam, didn't know anything about him. Now, this meeting, we started with the celebration of all that we've done this year. We went from 8 people to start, to this group. And the purpose of this meeting is to get up here and say what we're working on. And what do we need help with? That's the main part. What do we need help with? I need help. I had you light candles for vigil. Thursday is actually the Transgender Day of Remembrance. It was started by a friend of Rita's back in 1999 who wanted to honor Rita and all the other trans individuals who had died by violence, either their own hand or somebody else's hand, back in 1999. That tradition carries in the transgender community since then. You will find on November 20th vigils throughout the area. There is one being held at the Cleveland Heights Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, at 4774 Union Road in Cheektowaga on Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Refreshments to follow. There is one in Batavia, November 20th. I believe that one is 7 to 8 p.m. at the old courthouse in the lawn. If you bother to look around, you'll find others. Those are just two. So what do I want from you? I want you to care. I would love to see a trans remembrance filled with cis people who actually give a shit. So help me. Thank you.
It's sobering to think that we live in a world where people would do these kinds of things. And as a good friend to Peggy Mark Cook, I want to be there for her in this fight as well. Her and whatever you are this week.
Always both. Always both.
So thank you for taking the time to really respectfully listen to this and think about it. And thank you for one whole year of Firewall and many more to go. There are cards on the table, and while Janet is the emissary here, I need all of you to tell your friends about this group and invite them to come, because this is the way we're getting the word out. So please come. It's the third Saturday of every month. Come rain and shine, we will be here, and thank you so much. And please eat more cake.